When you look at the earnings call of many of the companies, it's all about how many $100 million deals, how many $50 million deals. So as companies graduate towards winning larger deals, the complexity of the sales cycle has also evolved in this period.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vamsee Tirukkala, one of the co-founders and chief commercial officer here at Draup. And we have an esteemed guest today, Mahesh Raja, who is the chief growth officer at Ness Digital. I have known Mahesh for almost like more than 10 years now. He had a very illustrious career at Wipro, having grown through the ranks in more than 2.5 decades there. He has done multiple hats, multiple executives roles, managing the teams across North America. He had pioneered the sales operations in pretty much all the organizations that he had worked in the past. And no one better to tell us where we came from and where we are headed to with all the transformation that is happening in the market today. So with that, Mahesh, welcome to the podcast and sincerely appreciate your time, sir.
Vamsee, thank you for having me today. And I'm really excited to be here today, actually. As Vamsee said, I'm at Ness today. And at Ness, we just don't create software, we engineer possibilities. As the original product engineering company, our DNA lies in building the very foundations of groundbreaking software that powers the world. Unlike our traditional IT services peers that focus on implementing existing solutions, product engineering is about crafting the very software others rely to succeed, and we take pride in this. Our legacy is etched into everyday life. And Vamsi, I'm going to kind of share an example of what we do.
Sure.
From building parts of Microsoft Office and PayPal to powering IBM Tivoli, Ness has been a solid force behind some of the world's most transformative technologies. Today I'm in a Hilton hotel room, and when I turn on the set-top box and the streaming software I see, it's actually built by us.
Wonderful.
If you park your car in New York City and use the New York City mobile app, that's us too. So we are a company which spans across the globe with 40% of our team in India, 45% in Eastern Europe and Germany, and 15% across North America. Ness combines a global perspective with the local expertise. So I'm very happy to be here, and I thought it may be a good opportunity for me to introduce who we are actually.
No, this is amazing, Mahesh. I think that also gives us a platform and talk about the complexities of the enterprise sales, right? I mean, enterprise sales of especially the complex solutions that you are solving, Mahesh, that's not easy, right? And especially when you think about the large sales cycles, and more importantly, the complexity of the enterprise ecosystem has become such that there is no straightforward sale anymore. It has become extremely complex over a period of time. So in your journey, Mahesh, I mean, how did we get here? I mean, this was not this complex 20, 30 years ago, right? How did it become so complex, and what are some of the your perceptions on what companies are doing to address this complexity of sale?
I think it's a great question, Vamsi. So let me answer it in two parts.
Sure.
Number one, companies large and small are today going after winning larger deals. When you look at the earnings call of many of the companies, it's all about how many $100 million deals, how many $50 million deals. So as companies graduate towards winning larger deals, the complexity of the sales cycle has also evolved in this period. Gone are the days where we used to celebrate small and mid wins. Every company wants to go to the street and talk about larger deals. So that's driving complexity. Number two, the sophistication of the clients and the prospects we serve today has also increased the maturity of that. That is the two reasons what is actually transforming enterprise sales across the board for a company which is small to a company which is large enough there.
Correct.
And even the practices, technologies, and methodologies of how you do enterprise sales has actually evolved in the last 3 decades of my professional journey. And I'm happy to share some of that in this conversation today.
No, I think let's start with the thing that you just talked about, right? So the evolution has happened from spray and pray, or how big is my Rolodex, or what is the network that I can tap into, to how can I find the specific opportunities and how can I actually target them. Like the whole notion about account-based sales, account-based marketing, account-based engagement, all these have come in the last, I would say, probably a couple of decades, right, Mahesh? Um, and account-based sales and account-based marketing is a fascinating thing on the paper, but it is not as easy because either you can't scale or you cannot be very targeted. So how do you see this complexity of the problem with this sales process, Mahesh?
I think, in short, if I may answer, account-based marketing has actually led to a shift, the focus from mass outreach to clients
Yeah,
and prospects to more personalized engagement. That's kind of in a nutshell.
right.
Now, just to throw some numbers and facts, right? I just recall what Edward Deming had said: without data, you're just another person with an opinion. So
Yeah.
rather than me sharing just opinion, I also want to put some data and facts here. Number one, McKinsey research shows that 1/5 of all sales teams' tasks could be automated,
Right.
and that cuts across the entire life cycle of sales. Number
Right.
two, with the advent of Gen AI and opening new opportunities, the venture capital investment in AI has actually surged 13 to 15 fold over the
Yep.
last decade. So, with these
True.
two as the backdrop from a data perspective, so let me talk a little bit about how the current use of new tools, AI, and ABM has actually evolved.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, there is an increasing use of data driven personalization.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, we're talking about how lead scoring and intent prediction has evolved in the last 2 decades. Those are the two
Yep.
big shifts we
Yep.
have seen in terms of what used to happen 5, 7, 10 years back to what happens today from a
Mm.
sales, enterprise sales perspective. I'll probably pause and see if it makes sense, and I'm happy to kind of elaborate on each of them.
I think it absolutely makes sense, Mahesh. Let's kind of, I think you and I, when we were talking offline, you are giving some numbers about how long it used to take,
Correct.
putting together the research or engaging with the right people, to how you have brought it down from days and weeks to kind of, few hours and minutes. Can
Right.
you share some examples of, how you have transformed those processes?
I think that's a great question. So from my own personal experience, when I used to be a seller 10, 15 years back,
Uh-huh.
for every senior level executive meeting or a C-suite meeting, we used to prepare for like a number of days.
Yep.
If I have to put a number there, on an average, it used to take 7 days to prepare for an hour or 30 minutes meeting with a C-suite stakeholder, right?
Right. Yeah.
With the advent of platforms such as Draup and other third-party AI-based solutions,
Yep.
today that has fundamentally shifted and changed.
Yep.
Now, what has changed? Number one, we have tools from some of the platform companies, including Drop, which
Yep.
helps us in prospect activity. Number
Yep.
two, it helps us to identify pain points. And number
Yep.
three, recommend tailored sales strategies. Now, good old days when I used to go and search for what are the pain points for a prospect, I used to go to the SEC website or look at the earnings calls for the last 3 or 4 quarters. It was an
Time
exercise
consuming.
which consumed a lot of time and effort.
Yep.
Now, that's what took 7 days on an average. But today, within 7 minutes, with the advent of platforms which are available at our disposal,
Yep.
that's what has fundamentally changed from a data driven personalization perspective. And this not only is in client acquisition, but
Mm-hmm.
also from a client servicing perspective. So let
Right.
me give you an example.
Yep.
When we used to follow up with our clients after our initial conversations, and when we used to write personalized emails, it was an effort which we need to
Yep.
budget time for. Today, with the advent of tools which each one of us are very familiar from a market perspective, They augment us in our ability to reach out to our clients. And not only that, even from a pricing perspective, we have enough augmented tools, whether we call it Gen AI, or assisted tools. They help us to price for a certain stakeholder, for a certain enterprise client, and also bring in the relevant case example. So that is what has fundamentally changed from 10 years to today from a data-driven personalization perspective. So client acquisition, client
Yeah.
servicing, both these dimensions from an enterprise sales has really, really changed and transformed.
No, I'm like what you're talking about is hyper personalization of
Correct.
opportunities and hyper personalization of services, Mahesh. That's
Correct.
amazing. So let's actually look at it like holistically. Like you have gone through this journey for the last few years. Is there something that you can share about some, like what did it mean to a company like Ness, or what did it mean to a professional like you on either optimizing what you used to do, what you have given a great example, but on the value side, how did it create value for you, Mahesh?
It's a good question. Nest leverages AI to
Yeah,
enhance our account-based marketing efforts
sure.
by analyzing intent data, engagement metrics, sales metrics, and account level metrics
Hmm.
to deliver personalized campaigns today.
Right.
Now, tools such as Draup and
Yeah.
other platforms help us to provide deep account insights
Yeah.
and also complement us by offering accurate and real-time client contact information and firmographic data. When I
Yeah.
say that, what I mean is data about the client's structure, spend, etc.,
Yeah.
helping my team refine the account targeting and
Yeah.
identify key decision makers. That's the number one
Wonderful.
change I've seen within Ness. Now, in terms of our approach from an account based marketing perspective, we are primarily focusing on driving and delivering personalized data driven campaigns to our top champion accounts
Yeah.
and the tier two accounts, what we call as attack accounts, by
Yeah.
leveraging these tools and methodologies there. And
Right.
also making sure that the sellers are able to really follow through on some of the commitments from a sales perspective and the handoff from a client acquisition to client servicing happens well.
Mm.
And the final point I want to really drive down is what did I do to amplify that?
Okay.
There are 5 things which broadly I would say which help me amplify account based marketing with the advent of AI.
Mm.
Number one, deepening account insights. And this
Got it.
is slam dunk with all the technologies at our disposal, insights to uncover decision makers,
Mm.
understanding of organizational priorities, and
Yep.
more importantly, the growth areas. Number
Yep.
two is tailor campaigns beyond what we used to do 3, 4, 5 years back.
Mm.
How AI can help create hyper personalized messaging
Yep.
and content formats that address specific business needs, whether it's on the revenue side, on the expense side, customer experience side.
Yep.
Number three is how do we strengthen executive alignment between my organization
Mm.
and the client organization and enhance collaboration, even between my own teams, between sales and marketing, to coordinate outreach at an
Yep.
executive level
Mm.
and build stronger account level relationships. Fourth point is
Hmm.
about multi-channel engagement. In today's world where we are, having a number of social media tools available at our disposal,
Yep.
gone are the days where email was the only way of reaching out to our customers.
Right. Right.
Leveraging LinkedIn,
Yep.
leveraging other social media tools at our disposal to reach out to our customers and stay in touch is a mechanism. Let me give you one example.
Sure.
Today, sometimes when our clients actually take up different roles within their own organization or they move from one organization to other, we get to know from these social media technologies. And
Correct.
if we are smart enough of using these AI tools,
Uh-huh.
we are able to put actionable insights for
Yep.
our sellers to see what they need to do when such changes happen from social media.
Right.
I don't think we were able to achieve that 5 or 7 years back. So that's
Yeah.
what I mean by multi-channel engagement. And finally, you know, leveraging champions,
Yep.
you know, working closely with champions within accounts to advocate internally and drive influence with the advent of AI, which helps us to scan through an organization. For example, if I use a real life example, I have a client which is a progressive tech company, and
Mm-hmm.
they have 80,000 employees globally spread out. Now, the
Yeah.
question is, we have been serving this client for the last 15 years, but who are our top 5 champions? And how
Mm.
do I bring that insight into our sellers who are supporting the client, and more importantly, the account managers who are serving the client?
Yeah.
That's what AI helps. So, those are the 5 things I would say we are doing from an ABM perspective with the support of AI, which is actually transforming. And I just want to say that while we talk about technology,
Uh-huh.
it's important to remember that technology is best when it brings people together. And what I mean by that is AI helps in fostering collaboration
Yep.
between teams, such as sales and marketing, but
Yep.
it's those humans which actually make it happen. So
Yeah.
let's not move away to
Absolutely.
say technology can solve all our problems. It is best when it brings people together.
No, I think that's a fundamental thing that you highlighted there, Mahesh, very, very well. It is the really that human machine synergies that
Yes,
brings the best out of an organization or out of a process. Now, having said that, I mean, you have gone through this journey in a relatively very short period of time. All of us have gone through that in a
correct.
very relatively short period of time, right, Mahesh? So, when you think about some unique skills that you look for in your sales organization today that you did not look for, like say 5 or 10 years ago, what comes to your mind as the topmost skill that you are looking for today that you did not consider that as important few years ago?
So let me understand the question. The question
Hmm.
you have is, what are the skills I'm looking for when I hire sellers in my team?
Exactly.
And how do they differentiate vis-a-vis the average performers?
Or the same seller 5 years ago did not have that kind of a skill.
Okay.
And because of that skill, they are become a lot more productive or a lot more valuable today.
Okay, I think that's a good question, and that dovetails into what I wanted to share from a next perspective, right?
Sure.
Uh, Let me use a quote, and this is a
Hmm.
quote, it's a well-known quote by Abraham Lincoln, where he
Yep.
said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe." I look for that attribute in sellers today.
Hmm.
There is so much of intelligence available before you go in front of a client meeting
Yep.
or a prospect meeting.
Yep.
And I look for people who are curious, who
Wonderful.
are inquisitive,
Uh-huh.
to know about the client organization
Yep.
and learn about their business problems and technology problems, and move away from a reactive sales approach to a
Hmm.
predictive and a proactive sales approach. That is what is the number one quality I'm looking for. Obviously, the experience
Hmm.
of working in enterprise sales, the technologies are table stakes today that you expect
Yeah.
from everybody. But the only
Absolutely.
thing which really differentiates one seller versus other is their ability to really sharpen the axe, if I may use the word carefully there.
I think what you are saying is like it's really the data and insights are available. How do you contextualize that to a particular opportunity or a particular executive that you are engaging with?
Correct.
That last mile gap that probably doesn't exist anywhere that has to be brought to the table by the humans. You think that that is the biggest value or the biggest skill today?
Absolutely. Especially from, if you look at the sales life cycle from a client
Hmm.
acquisition perspective, or even if you're serving a new client, existing client, and you're trying to sell a new solution or a product or a SaaS offering. That's what it
Right.
is. Now, if I just look at it from a client servicing perspective, right?
Sure.
How AI and how some of this advent has changed personally. Today, we have enough tools from very reputed companies
Yep.
which would help us to sync our CRM, third party AI engines,
Yep.
Our prospecting engines, our marketing automation engines, and
Yep.
how do you make sure that we run campaigns for our existing customers which clearly highlight the differentiators and the solutions which we have at Ness, and how do we really bring it up to our customers? And that stickiness is important when you're actually serving a customer.
Fabulous. I
That's
think.
that's where, if I will look at both from a client acquisition and the client servicing perspective, that's where I would do. Now, on top of it, from a servicing perspective, how do we do dynamic account-based marketing campaigns?
Right.
It's not just about sending newsletters anymore. I remember 4 years back, for me, account-based marketing was sending a newsletter to the right stakeholder with the right messaging. Today,
Yeah.
it needs to be dynamic, real time, based
Yeah.
on an announcement from their CEO yesterday about what the market is. How do you dynamically change that and contextualize it, like you said,
Yeah.
to the client's current situation,
Yeah.
and how we as an organization can understand the buyer's intent, and how do we change the interaction with them. And finally, in good old days, we had A/B testing we used to do from a campaign optimization perspective.
Right.
That has evolved significantly in today's era. So I can go deep into it, but those are the top three things which I would say which has really changed over the course of time.
No, Mahesh, I can't think of a better words that you have used to articulate where we are today and how far we have come along. Let's shift the gears a little bit here, Mahesh, and see. Now, there is a lot of chatter about agentic AI. There is a lot of chatter about, collaborative AI assistants or different kind of an automated tools that are coming into the future. How do you foresee the next 5 years, and where do you think is the tool sets and the platforms evolving, Mahesh?
It's a good question. So let me share my conviction here, right?
Yeah.
You know, Today we are at the incubation phase of what I would call as sales AI
Mm-hmm.
uh, tools, and this is public information. So we have
Yeah.
co-pilots for sales, we have co-pilots for servicing.
Yeah.
Every large technology player, whether it's Microsoft, Salesforce, are actually bringing in, augmented sales co-pilot equivalents from
Right.
their perspective.
Yeah.
So they actually act as virtual partners for
Mm.
organizations which are focused from a go-to-market perspective, recommending actions and automating repetitive tasks.
Yeah.
I was there in a conference 2.5 months back where one of the large CRM providers, they made an announcement of a LLM-based tool
Yep.
to just support the sellers,
Yep.
and this is public, so I will use the name Agent Force,
Right.
which was
Right.
Salesforce's LLM-based tool to
Yep.
help support that. Now, what does this do today? It provides intelligent insights into accounts and opportunities to prioritize
Yep.
and significantly improve the ability to open new accounts and focus sales efforts strategically.
Yep.
Now, to your question, what am I expecting to happen the next 5 years? There's going to be significant investments
Mm.
in these areas to really, really not only do Gen AI,
Uh-huh.
but have those LLMs to make it into SLMs, which are
Yeah.
small language models specific to the organization. Today, these
Mm.
LLMs are taking data across multiple enterprises and creating large language models.
Yep.
The next big innovation for me would be I need to have a small language model on my device to tell me for this client and for my firm, which is Ness, what should I target? And that
Right.
comes from not one variable, two variables, but multitude of variables.
Yep.
And with the processing capacity changing, and yesterday we saw the announcement from Google about how quantum computing is
Yep.
changing and the processing speeds are going up, these small language models
Yep.
and the processing speeds and innovation happening there is actually going to be the two fundamental shifts which we are going to see there, right? And
Yep.
especially in regulated industries like financial services, healthcare, where
Yep.
these large language models are not very well appreciated because of regulatory compliance reasons. I see the thrust on going from LLMs to
Yes.
smaller models
SLMs.
is going to really, really advance this shift. So look at two trends. One is the investments from a sales enablement for enterprise sales, and second is what is happening in the marketplace from language models and processing speeds.
Sure.
When they come together,
Yeah.
it's when the biggest shift is going to happen. And that's my view of what is going to happen.
No,
And there's no dearth of tools. The question is, what are we trying to solve for, Vamsee?
Absolutely. I think you put it very, very well, Mahesh. I think, see, one thing that
And can I make one quote there?
Sure,
I
please.
remember this, when you talked about what does the future look like?
Yeah.
There's a quote by, I don't remember the person, but due credit to the person who made it. The best way to predict the future is to invent it. That's
Absolutely.
what is happening today. The invention of processors, which are quantum computing processes, the invention of language models is going to pave the way for the future. That's how I look at it.
No, absolutely. We see that examples even in the case of Ness, right? I think, you just don't take our data and insights and our intelligence. You actually combine that with your internal data. Now kind of you have created that orchestration layer to kind of support your own processes. That is custom for you, that is individualized for you, right? I think we already, absolutely, I think we are kind of peeking into the future of what you just said already with people like you kind of bringing it all together. But one thing that I want to bring it up, Mahesh, I think some fabulous work that your organization Ness has done, you actually have studied the impact of AI on software development.
Correct.
And you have recently released a white paper. I want you to do two things. First, share some very high-level insights of that white paper, Mahesh. And the second, I want you to kind of take a similar approach and say, if you want to quantify, of course, you have not done the study like you have done for software development. What does that mean to your organization from the quantum of the impact the AI tools had on your sales and marketing efforts?
Sure.
But first, the software study, though.
Yes. So before I answer a question, let me set some context here, right? We are in the business of serving customers. Yes. While the examples I cited to you were more about what we do to serve our customers, we are also helping our enterprise clients, in their ability to enhance their sales organizations also. For example, we have a Salesforce practice within our organization. We have a CRM practice within our organization. And many of the tools which we use and some of the tools and innovations we're talking about, we actually try to help our customers do that. So that is important in what we do there. Now, coming to your question about software engineering, it's a very similar approach. We are a 4,000 people organization, and we take pride in building software for software companies. That's kind of the original product engineering company mindset. When we believe that there is innovation happening in software engineering, we also believe in making sure that we share that with our customers, our partners. And that is where this research report, which we did along with Zinov, in publishing that report of how we can enhance software engineering productivity for our clients, for our partners, for our peers, and for our own organization. And that has kind of gotten crystallized by having our own platform, which we share it with our customers to benchmark software engineering productivity. So what I mean by that is sometimes we have to eat our own dog food. So when I say that we can help you enhance your software engineering productivity, the first question customers is, I don't even have a baseline to say how it goes up. Right. And how do I baseline my current productivity and my partner ecosystem productivity for me to really see if Ness can really enhance that for me? So that is where we actually bring in a product and a tool. Now, going to the other part of your question, what we did from a software engineering perspective, if I just bring it to enterprise sales, we haven't done such a deep dive research, but if I have to leverage my experiential learning and my experience over 3 decades, there's a very similar trend coming out of that. Right. Is about how do you maximize sales KPIs and productivity with the advent of these tools, and how do you really maximize your investments in sales, marketing, and all the related functions.
Yep.
I work for a private equity owned company.
Yep.
And this is something which we talk about in terms of how do we drive higher return on investments in S&M budgets.
Right.
Right? I'm sure all my clients and the other large enterprises are also thinking about in the current market conditions, how do we really stretch the dollar? And
Yep.
that's really where I think we can help a lot of our customers in partnership with firms such as yours in driving sales productivity and increase sales efficiency for them. And tools, methods, technologies are only going to augment us. But
Yep.
end of day, it is about clearly having that focus to drive
Mm.
better outcomes.
Hmm.
And we are here to not only drive outcomes, we engineer that for our
Yep.
customers. And that's what we are good at, actually. I hope I answered your question, Vamsee.
No, this is the absolutely. You answered the question right very well, Mahesh. And with that, we will conclude this podcast. I can't thank you enough. I think you summarized the value of the. So first of all, you summarized the transformation that we have seen so far very well, and the transformation that we are going to probably see in the very near future. And the second most important thing is, I think the big takeaway for me, Mahesh, is how you articulated this five major areas where you are able to create the value in your sales and marketing processes, whether it is account management, account intent-driven decisions, signals-driven react, going
Correct.
from reactive to more of a proactive approach. I think these are the real takeaways for me. I think that's exactly how we envisioned when we were building Draup, and it's so gratifying for me, at least, to see that how you are able to adopt a platform like Draup and kind of supercharge your own processes. So, with that, thank you very, very much, Mahesh, for generously giving your time and sharing your knowledge and your best practices with us.
Oh, thank you, Vamsee, and thank you for having me. Just as a closing remark from my side, let me say this, and this is something I'm taking inspiration from another research and a leader. Success isn't just about getting noticed, it's
Yep.
about being remembered for the value you create. And I hope what you do, what I do, we want to leave a lasting impression and value for
Yep.
our clients. And within the domain of enterprise sales, there is so much to be done
Yep.
and there is so much value to be unlocked. And hopefully, this podcast is just the beginning for that.
Absolutely. On that high note, Mahesh, thank you very, very much, and you have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. And I really appreciate this. Have a great day.